you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche And after 22 years, Raymond Mark!
The sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network. Pierre McGuire, Jimmy Murphy. Pierre now down in New Jersey in Hoboken, and I am in Boston now after a wonderful time, Pierre, at McLean's Pub in Montreal. Big shout out to the staff there, to Stu Ashton and his crew, and everybody that showed up. Pierre, really good crowd. I really enjoyed it. Very festive. Everybody's really getting in the mood. And like we said, the excitement is palpable up there right now in Montreal with the Canadiens on a winning streak here, and they beat the Boston Bruins 4-1 last night and maintain their playoff spot right now. Pierre, I got to tell you, like, being in that atmosphere and broadcasting that, it makes me want to do more of that. I want to do that in the playoffs. How about you?
Oh, yeah. It's highly addictive.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially, at the public house at McLean's. Stu and his staff are amazing.
Yep.
And, I've had a chance to sample a lot of different places around the world. That's a fun spot to be. It really is. And I can't thank Stu enough and his staff, and for you for helping to set it up, Jimmy. Great job. Also want to congratulate you. I don't know where the insiders were on this one, but I think there's a goalie that was signed by the Montreal Canadiens.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's his name?
Jacob Fowler out of Boston College signs his entry-level contract there. And Pierre, I want to get to that in a second, but I do want to thank as well the Sick Podcast Network staff that showed up as well in yellow, and then Mark Afalo, who came in to help out, and his crew, and Sammy, of course. It was so great to see Sammy in person again. So really enjoyed seeing them. But yeah, let's get into that contract right now, Pierre, because, I want you to explain, and to me too, because I'm curious how they do this. I've always have been, and I've never asked you this before, and I'll ask you right now on air. How do you determine when you're signing a rookie to an entry-level contract like that? All right, so he signs a 3-year ELC, also signs a 1-year, one-way contract in the AHL with Laval this year. But in terms of the ELC that he signed that starts next season, how do they determine bonuses like that? How do the numbers get determined?
They get negotiated.
But, I mean, what are the measuring sticks? Like, how do you figure it out if the guy hasn't played? Is there some kind of standard?
No.
Okay, I was always wondering.
Just comparables.
Okay.
Don't make it more complicated than it has to be.
Okay. All right. So it's just plain and simple negotiating. I like it.
It's just you negotiate the numbers. It's okay. Most of those on entry levels, most of those guys aren't getting those bonuses.
Yeah, that was some pretty good bonuses he got there, Pierre. I mean,
give me read. I didn't see the contract.
Okay, so I'll break it down for you. So year one, he gets $775,000 salary and a $95,000 signing bonus and $80,000 games played bonus in year one.
Okay, but wait a second. Slow down.
Yep.
You understand that's NHL money?
Yes.
So in order for him to get that money, he's got to be playing in the NHL.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Just so everybody at home understands.
Yep.
What's his American League salary? $95,000?
Doesn't say in this. I'm just reading what Puckpedia posted earlier. Let me see.
Oh, it'll say there.
923. No, that's next year. It doesn't appear on the tweet.
Well, there's got to be an American League because every entry level contract's a 2-way deal.
Let me see if they have an expanded version on Puckpedia on the website. One sec. But anyhow, let's see. Jacob Fowler.
The signing bonus he gets.
Yep.
What's the signing bonus?
The signing bonus for this would be 95.
That's right. So that'll be times 3 probably. Okay.
And then
because he'll get one every year. He'll get a signing bonus probably on every year of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know why, Pierre, but they're not listing the A number.
Yeah, so I'm going to say it's probably around 90 to 105,000 somewhere in there.
Okay. All right.
Just so everybody understands, like this year, whatever money that sets there, the only thing that's going to be lead pipe cinch is a signing bonus, and it'll be prorated on his American League side.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. And then the second and third year, Pierre, he gets – go ahead. So I'm going to cut you off.
Go ahead.
The second and third year, he gets $855,000, and then he gets another $95,000 signing bonus.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yep. And then another $500,000 performance bonus.
Well, that's broad based. You got to perform to get that. So
Yeah. Okay.
that's all negotiated. A lot of guys, I'm just telling you, like, it looks great on paper, but unless you achieve on entry level, a lot of those bonuses are hard to achieve. They're very difficult to get.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, in terms of that, is that, in your opinion, though, is that more in the high end for an ELC?
No.
For him? Okay. It's average. Gotcha. So, yeah, they signed him to a deal there, Pierre. And as we discussed on the podcast here, you predicted it nonstop. Everyone else was saying maybe no, he should go to Montreal. He will go to Laval there. And as we've agreed here, it's the right move, Pierre. He can go there. He can play. He won't get his confidence crushed up in the NHL. I just think it's the right move. But as I asked you today when we were driving home, do you think maybe they should bring up Caden Primo, even though they can't send him back down? Because once they do it, he has to clear waivers. But bring him up to be the backup for the playoffs and put Dobis down there.
I think at some point they'll have to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first thing for them is make sure they make the playoffs.
Okay.
So the next most important game is tomorrow night against Philadelphia. It's a really important game.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with Nashville. That's a tough trip. It's a back-to-back. I know people say it's not that far, but you got to clear customs. Trust me, it adds on. And It's a Saturday night game in Montreal. That's going to be a tough travel day or night. And I got to think they're going to rest some guys the next day, whether it's Savard in particular, probably get a little rest. Maybe, depending on who gets nicked up, maybe some other guys get some rest on Sunday too. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But I think the most important thing for them to worry about now is make the playoffs.
Yeah. Once you click that, then
Philadelphia Saturday night gives you a big opportunity to make it.
Okay. And then once you do that, you can start to kind of shape up the lineup for the playoffs.
You can start to look down the road. You don't always want to do that, but you got to think, okay, we've just won twice against Florida, once against Boston, once against Philly. We're putting points in the bank and other teams aren't winning.
Right.
So then you start to plan what you want to do.
All right. So they beat the Bruins 4-1 last night, Pierre, and I was at that game. And, I got to say, this is the first time probably in like a month and a half that I was seeing the Bruins live in person. And it's miserable right now around that team on and off the ice, Pierre. I mean, that was tough to watch from the Bruins side. Now, on the Canadian side, people say, oh, well, the Canadiens were supposed to beat them. Look at that lineup. But you still got to win the game. You still got to play the game. You got to give them credit for that. But just quickly before we get into the Canadian side there, Pierre, when the season's down the tubes like that and it's just wearing on and you want to get to the end, we discussed it before, but, how do you handle it as a coaching staff?
You're coaching for your life. Because if you're not coaching for your life, then you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to have an easy time finding a job.
Right.
Jimmy, I'll tell you this right now. Some of those guys laid down last night. The tape doesn't lie in that game.
No.
I'll give you a case in point. Yoel Armia chips the puck out into the neutral zone.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay? Elias Lindholm's getting paid a whack of money. A lot of money. He loses a one-on-one battle to Jake Evans.
Yep.
Jake Evans out-muscles him at the point of attack, something fierce. That kid's like, I'm not coaching that team. He wouldn't want to see that tape today and the way we did the tape. And then he moves the puck over to Suzuki, who puts it in the empty net with an unselfish play by Jake and a hard play and a smart play by Armia to start it all. My point is, that's a snapshot. If you're the GM, that's a snapshot of why your season's gone haywire.
Yeah.
I was talking to a really good hockey guy today, and he said to me, and he didn't say yes. It was a really good question. He goes, why did the Bruins panic at the start of the year? I said, what do you mean? He goes, sometimes, not always, but sometimes teams just have bad seasons. There's a bad mix. There's a bad thing happening in training camp. Stuff didn't work out. So here's some bad things. The Swayman negotiation was bad.
Yeah, we were all of that. Yep.
Early not getting Swayman signed was bad. The signing of some of their free agents was marginal to bad. I'm not going to say they're terrible, but marginal to bad. So right away, you're coming out of the gate with bad vibes around the group. You are. And there were some guys that were ticked off about Swayman and the way stuff went down. You know it.
I know that.
You do.
Yep.
So here's what I'm going to say. This thing didn't start off right from the start. And if you watch the eye test last July and August, we said this is going to be a problem.
Yep.
It's going to be a problem.
And even into September, Pierre, remember during season?
So why didn't management overreact? Like they could have just said, you know what? This is a bad one. We made some mistakes. Why'd you fire Jimmy Montgomery? Like, tell me what. Don't say it's because, well, he didn't want to sign the contract we offered. Don't say that. Like, why did they fire? There's some questions that if I were the owner of the team, here's some questions. Why'd you fire Jimmy Montgomery? Why'd you do what you did with your goalies last summer? Who were the scouts that said we got to have Elias Lindholm and we have to have Zadorov?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the guys that said that? I want to know. Like, I don't say publicly. If I'm the owner, those are the questions I'm asking at the end of the year debrief.
Yeah.
And then I'd say, how come our best players in Providence are 30 or older? How come?
Mm-hmm. I know.
You want to fix the Boston Bruins? They're not easy questions to ask, and they're not fun to have to answer.
Right.
But this is the meat. I'm just telling you, if you want to be a good team, this is the meat and potato stuff that goes on in the NHL. It's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, it's hard. It's mean, but it has to be done.
Don't you think those questions should have been asked before the trade deadline, though, Pierre?
Yes.
Like,
so this is what my friend asked me today, and he's a very high-profile hockey player. Why did they panic? He says sometimes teams just have bad years.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? You're right. But they panicked.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? This just isn't good enough. We're tearing it down. 2 years ago, we got beat by an 8 seed. Last year, we got beat by the same team. And we're going to dump everybody.
Right.
So we're going to move Charlie Coyle, and we're going to move Brandon Carlo, and we're going to move, Brad Marchand, our captain.
Mm-hmm.
Our captain. Jimmy, no, I haven't seen this written anywhere, but I'm just telling you, this is the meat and potato stuff that should be going on in the back rooms of the Boston Bruins.
Well, it's almost like once they realized they misevaluated on some guys, you're right. It was just like, what do we do? And you can't. So I agree with you. You're saying, and what your friend was saying when you were talking to him is, it's all right. You acknowledge your mistakes mid-season, but don't then pile it on by panicking. Maybe just ride it out and then reevaluate in the summer, right? Just suck it up.
Just take it.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what? It happens.
It happens. Yep.
We made a mistake. We had a bad year. We're going to chalk this up to a bad year, but we're not doing it again. So how are we going to fix it?
Yep.
So we're going to identify our free agent signing policy is going to change. How are we going to change it? That's for them to decide, not for you or for me. That's for them to decide. What went into how we managed our goaltending situation? We need to make sure that doesn't happen again. So let's fix that.
Yep.
Let's talk about why did we fire Jim Montgomery? This is not enough. Joseph, you can't blame Joe Sacco for this.
No, I've been trying, and I'm really. I feel bad for him right now.
I feel terrible for Joseph.
It's not his
He's
fault.
A tremendous human being.
Yeah,
he's an awesome hockey person.
Yeah.
Hey, all those teams that were playing well for Boston, he had a lot to say. He was behind the scenes doing a lot of stuff.
And Pierre,
this is not on him.
Is you'll tell the listeners and viewers too, when an assistant coach survives 3 different tenures of head coaches, you're doing something right.
You're doing a lot right.
They want their own guys, right? So for him to
survive, doing a lot right.
Coaches,
Joe's a very respected person in the NHL community. Very respected. Yeah. And he should be, Jimmy. Yeah. So there are all these little. I'm just trying to take our viewers and listeners behind the scenes. I'm not saying the Bruins are going to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying they should do this. Yeah. Because I've been part of things like this, and this is the proper policy to follow to make sure it doesn't happen again.
So here's the one thing, Pierre, and I don't know if you'll agree with me. When they get into the offseason, they're gonna have quite a bit of cap space, right? A lot of guys coming off the books, and they've got some guys on pretty good deals right now. They have you could say a semi foundation, right? I mean, you got Swayman, you got Pasternak, you got McAvoy, and you can put Hampus Lindholm in there too, right? But you're going in, the idea that they're proposing right now, the message they're giving is that this is going to be a retool, rebuild, whatever they want to call it, but they're resetting, let's say. Is it going to be a bad sign if Don Sweeney goes into free agency and makes a splash instead of doing targeted signings that help younger kids as you help them progress? You know what I mean? Like if he goes out and signs some star players, is that going to tell you right away? Is that a red flag saying, okay, wait a minute, I thought you were going to a rebuild here. You can't make that type of signing and do a rebuild. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. So here's what I'll ask you. Organizationally, what's their biggest pressing need?
Centers.
Center.
Yes.
So if you don't see them identify the signing of a center, they're swinging for the fence with high scoring wingers.
Mm-hmm.
It's flawed. It's going to be flawed. The
And
rebuild
you're
will
just kind
be.
of going in circles, right?
You're just spinning your tires.
Yep.
So here's the question: Is Lysell a winger or a center?
He's a winger.
Okay.
I don't.
Is Poitras a winger or a center?
Winger.
Okay. Let's do one more, just because we're paying attention to their minor league guys. Is Dalton Bancroft, who they just signed out of Cornell, a winger or a center?
Winger.
Okay, he's a winger. I haven't heard any centers yet.
No. They're trying, I guess, to sign Ryan Wallace, one of their picks out of Cornell.
So Ryan's a good kid. I spent a lot of time with him at Cornell 3 weeks ago. He's got a future in the league. Very good player. If he were wise, I think he'd spend another year at Cornell because he could do serious damage there. They're gonna have a good team again.
Yeah, and he's gonna have a chance to move up too, right? Because they lost a lot of guys.
Yeah, and they've got some really high end kids coming.
Okay.
They've got a couple from Penticton coming. They've got a couple from other places in the BCHL. They're going to be good again. They're going to be good again. So I don't know the goaltending because they obviously lost Ian Shane. He's playing for Norfolk in the East Coast Hockey League. Ian Shane. So if I were Walsh, I'd go back for one more year. But if you think about it, all their guys, like, they're wingers.
Yep.
They're wingers. They're on the outside. So the pressing need is center.
Mm-hmm.
I got to look at the list. I don't know how many centermen are going to be available.
Pierre, last time I looked at that free agent list, it didn't look like a lot. I mean, in terms of top 6 centers, there are a lot of bottom 6. But in terms of top 6 centers, it's something you'd probably you're going to have to draft and develop, or you're going to have to get through a trade.
Yeah, nobody's trading Joe Thornton anymore. That ship sailed.
All right, enough. We got to stop piling.
Hey, by the way, we said it before, and I'm going to say it again because I heard it's become very fashionable on that thing you go on X.
Yes.
Okay, George McPhee did trade Nick Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
He did. Mm-hmm. We talked about this a long time ago. They want a mulligan on that.
Yep.
They would like a mulligan on that one. Okay,
Sure.
They made a mistake, but you know what? The Vegas Golden Knights got a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So let's just. Do I think they like a mulligan on this?
Sure,
yes, they would. But they're still a really good team.
He's done pretty good other than that, though.
Somebody called me up there and they're like, "Oh my gosh, George is getting killed." I'm like, "Whoa, just calm."
Yeah, that's just because Suzuki's flying right now. Everybody's bringing that up.
Well, he's a special player. He is.
Yeah.
He's a special
player.
Right,
speaking of that, good transition here. Let's go over to that Habs side. And again, he was something special last night, Pierre. But my question to you, we were talking about how the Habs really needed not fall in the trap to let this be a letdown game after 2 emotional wins over Florida. And I thought, and look, you can say all we want, like we just said, some of those Bruins didn't show up, but still give credit where it's due. They set the tempo, they set the tone right from the get-go, the Canadiens in that game. And they said, we mean business. There's going to be no letdown here. And I was very impressed with the way they started that game.
Well, Josh Anderson, Christian Dvorak, and Brendan Gallagher deserve a lot of credit. Brendan hasn't played this well in a long time. He's going to get to 20 goals. He's going to score 20 goals this year. That's an amazing accomplishment. He should be really proud of that. That's for his age and his body type and the beatdown he's taken in his career. Mm-hmm. Pretty special. Josh Anderson has totally rejuvenated his career. He should be amazingly proud. Hats off to the Montreal, Trevor Letowski in particular, the assistant coach, and I'm sure Marty St. Louis spent a lot of time with him. And look, 2 months ago, people wanted to run Christian Dvorak right out of town. He's become a very important player for them, and he deserves a lot of credit because he didn't pout, he didn't bury his head, he didn't take shots at people. He was a mensch about it. He battled, man. I'm telling you, I have a ton of respect for him. Do I think he's overpaid? Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
that's not his.
Not his fault.
Not his fault. Not his fault at all.
No.
But he's a really important player for that team. So hats off to him.
All three of those
that line created the environment you're talking about, Jimmy, last night. They really did.
Yeah. And you can see, and we've mentioned so many times, the Merlot line back in the day with Boston, but you can see when a team really feeds off, a third or fourth line, it steps up like that. And they're, when they see those guys picking up the slack and setting the tempo and giving the other guys a bit of a breather at times too. Teams feed off that, and it spreads and it's contagious. And I think they've done a great job there. And I just want to say one other thing too. I see some people, they'll say, oh, well, Dvorak's in a contract year, so that's why he upped his game. Yeah, but he's still going to buy into the team. He's not just doing it because he's in a contract. He's doing it because he wants to help this team win right now. And I love what he's done there. And I'll eat crow too, because I was critical of him in the beginning of the season. And I kind of I'll admit I was wrong. I kind of let his contract blind the way I looked at the way he was playing, but he stepped it up. And I go back to Pierre, another Bruins analogy going way back here to 03, 04, when Marty Lapointe was playing with the Bruins. Mm-hmm. And remember how that contract was like the elephant in the room, or saddled him. It was like that burden on his shoulder. And people, well, I can't believe we're playing a third liner. Well, they are. And there's nothing he can do about it. It's not his fault. But what he did do was he reinvented himself and became a good part of that team.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that. I felt bad for Marty at the end, because he should have been an iconic Red Wing forever. He should have started and finished his career there and winning all those cups. I'll tell you what, I saw a lot of junior players in my career. When he played for Laval in junior hockey, that kid was something special. Oh, yeah. He didn't skate great.
I never saw him play there, but
he didn't skate great. But I'm just telling you right now, his hands were good. He was tough as nails. He was strong on the boards. You didn't have to see any analytic charts in him. Okay, you knew he was
an eye test player.
You knew he was playing in the NHL, and you knew he was going to be a really good player in the NHL. I saw him play an American League game in Adirondack one night against Prince Edward Island. That was our farm team in Ottawa. Uh-huh. I couldn't believe it. And we had tough, part of our design, we wanted tough guys. We didn't want to get pushed around. So when you came to play in PEI, you were going to have to fight your way through the rink.
Yep.
We had some really tough cats there, Jimmy. Go watch if you ever do, some Fredericton Canadiens tapes versus the Prince Edward Island Senators. They were barbaric games. Donald Brashear was playing in Freddie Beach, and
I'm writing that down.
We had a kid named Darcy Simon who was so tough, and oh man, we were tough. And Marty Lapointe, he stood toe to toe with all those guys, and we had some really tough guys. Yeah.
He seems to have a good eye for talent too.
He's very good at his job. Yeah. The last time I spent a lot of time with him was a few years ago. We were in Finland together. He was watching. I'm sure he was watching Slavkovsky.
That's what I was going to ask. Was that? Yeah.
Yeah, we were in Turku, and then we both were in Stockholm. We were watching Djurgården play too, and we both saw Simon Edvinsson that one day. I was like,
"Oh, okay,
this guy's only 17."
I remember you calling me about him. Yeah,
he's really good. This guy's really good. So, anyways, Marty's a really good scout. He is. He's a really good scout.
He's doing a great job. Further on the Canadiens too, and again, I know the Bruins stunk, but I look at their defense right now, Pierre, and they're playing all three pairings. They're playing as a unit. I watch them a lot on TV, and I can see it, but when you're there in person, you really notice, and you're high above, and you're kind of watching the plays develop. You know what it's like when you're scouting, and they're really playing as a unit right now. They all seem to know where each other are going to be. They're picking each other up. They're backing each other up there. I was really impressed with that defensive unit.
Well, Strubl's really improved. That's helped a lot. Carrier coming over, and this is pro scouting. Carrier coming over from Nashville for Justin Barron. That's a heist. Now, maybe they're going to turn Justin Barron into something in Nashville, and they could. He's a friend that way. But right now, he's been on 3 teams, Colorado, Montreal, and now he's in Nashville. That's a lot for a young player. That's a lot for a young player with pedigree. So we'll see how that pans out for him. But Carey has been great. Mike Matheson struggling a little bit. I think that's fatigue. I think at some point, especially if they do qualify for the playoffs, they got to say, Mike, we're going to give you a couple days off. Yeah. You just – and I know people are ripping into him too, and that's sad. That's sad. He's a gentleman, and he's a player. He's a proud Montreal guy. He's a proud Montreal guy, and he's proud to be part of that team. But to me, I'm using Maxime Lapierre's line, Lane Hudson, franchise player.
It's something. It is unreal. And Pierre, you know how people are always saying now he's one of these players now where when he has the puck, you're watching, you're waiting for something to happen. You could see it. I mean, the crowd, you hear the noise, ooh, and all that from the crowd when he's got the puck. I mean, it's something to watch when you're there in person.
Well, Jimmy, it is. Here's what I'd say to you. As a kid growing up, I remember, when Jean Beliveau had the puck in his stick, people would kind of do that in the old form. Uh-huh. And then Lafleur came in first overall pick from the Quebec Ramparts. And it took a while, but once he got going, people were like, ooh, you get that buzz in the building. It's amazing.
And the hair.
And then people forget when Saku, Saku would get the puck in Koivu, and all of a sudden people would start hemming and hawing about him too. But there haven't been a lot.
No.
I think there was a point too, a couple of years where Stefan Richer would get it, and I was actually coaching then. Steph would get the puck, and people would get jacked up about him.
Yeah.
But there haven't been a lot of them since the 60s and 70s. There haven't been a lot of them, but this guy's one of them. This guy's definitely one of them.
I was speaking of Un and R, and I was thinking about next year when him and Demidov are on the same power play. I mean, that could be something.
It's a good point. Demidov, let's go slow.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's just go slow on Demidov.
Easy.
And I know people probably say, come on, you're just being me. No, I'm not.
No, he's not. I get you.
Let's just take our time on Demidov.
And that's true, because there is a transition there. The KHL, and that's no knock on the KHL.
Not a knock on the KHL or him at all.
Yeah.
But you'll see. Well, get punched in the mouth a couple times. You'll see. There's a time frame. It'll work. It'll all work. You'll be really good.
I hear you.
Take your time.
All right, Pierre. We are going to have to get off at 4:50 today, because unfortunately I have to go to a wake for a friend of mine who passed away, Grant Morrison. So we're going to get right to our sponsors right now, and then to the pick of the day, and get into the questions, because I don't want to leave anyone out here. I see them lining up. So let's do that right now.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about TCS Customs and Logistics. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics. From around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting. TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For a no-obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast at shiptcs.com. Again, that is sickpodcast at shiptcs.com. And, of course, our gambling sponsor, Betway. Go all the way with Betway and get a free bet. That's right, a free bet up to $200, even if your first bet loses. Scan that QR code right in front of you if you're watching, or go to the website and click on the link in the details section to create your new account and redeem the welcome offer. Again, it's only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 18 plus. It is not, by the way, available in Ontario right now. And always, please play responsibly. Let's go to the pick of the day right now. And I'm going to make it short and simple here. Let's do it.
It's time for Sick Picks. Brought to you by Betway.
All right, Pierre, I'm going to go right to the game that a lot of people will be watching because of the grade 8 chase. Alexander Ovechkin continues to chase history there as he tries to break Wayne Gretzky's record, and they will be hosting the Chicago Blackhawks down in Washington, D.C. tonight. And they're heavy favorites right now, minus 395. That's just way too much to put on anyone right now. Blackhawks are plus 310 underdogs. And then if you want to take the puck line to bet the Capitals to win by 2, they're minus 142. If you want to bet the Blackhawks to lose by less than 2, it's plus 120. The over-under is 6.5. But I'm going to get away from all that, Pierre. I'm going to give somebody a tip where I've been starting to watch it. I'll thank my friends from the Ice Guys for pointing this out to me. Alexander Ovechkin now, I believe, has, I think it was 13 or 14 empty net goals right now. He's been getting the last goal as well, a lot in a lot of the games, and that's usually an empty net goal will obviously be the last goal. So go there right now. You can get Alexander Ovechkin to score the last goal of the game for plus 600. So if you bet $100, you win $600. Alexander Ovechkin to score the last goal. That is my bet of the night. Let's get to the Q&A. Joe, question: Habs top 4D in 3 years in order of importance is Hudson, Reinbacker if healthy, Gooley, and a right D we trade for. Do you agree? Others are Mailou, Matheson, Carrier, Jack-Eye, and the 2025 pick.
I don't know if you need to trade for anybody. You might get somebody, but I don't need. Like Logan Mailloux is a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mike Matheson's. Imagine if Mike Matheson's playing in your third tandem.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, come on. So I wouldn't be in a rush here to say, "Oh, we got to add this." I think they're pretty good internally. Reinbacker's got to get healthy. He does. He's got to get healthy. But I think they're actually trending the right way, Montreal. I'm really encouraged for them.
And I think, as you pointed out many times, Pierre, the big need is that 2C. They got to find a 2C there.
That's the biggest all the other stuff is great, but you got to get a second center.
That's
and this is, if Owen Beck's family's watching or Owen's watching, this is not a knock on Owen Beck. In a perfect world, Owen Beck's an elite, not good. He's an elite third center. And you got a chance to win a lot of games if he's your third center.
All right. Next question. Alex Ivanowski. All right, I've seen it enough. What's it going to take for the Blue Jackets to get Swayman out of Boston? A first this year, Jake Gardner, and then what?
Okay.
You said it, Alex, not us.
We've tried to warn people. Is there's one thing in Columbus that needs to be some fine tuning happening to, would be the goaltending situation.
Yeah.
I don't see the Bruins trading Swayman.
If the Bruins had a lot coming in that department, maybe, but right now they don't have a lot of depth. I just saw they're trying to secure that. They actually, it sounds like they're going to invite the main goalie, Boya.
Yeah,
they're invite him to development camp. So clearly they're starting to look at building up the depth there. All right,
he's legit. Like, he's a really good goalie. He's big. He's really big. He's good. But they got Sved back too. Like I don't. Do people even watch these teams play, or they just take stuff off the internet and throw it out there?
Yeah.
Like, Svedback's a really good goalie. He plays at Providence. He's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know where people get their intel, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff that
DiPietro's had an amazing season.
Who?
DiPietro has had an amazing season. The kid they got from Vancouver a couple of years.
100%. So anyways.
Pierre, quick story on
Careful
Swayman.
who you listen to when you do all this stuff. Not
quick
you, but
story
the fan.
On Swayman. So last night he's doing his scrum after the game. And I think it was Sean Farrell from NHL.com was talking to him. He asked him a question. He goes, "Hey, it seems like you're really starting to want to establish your present and to defend your turf there around the net. I know as you get into little scrums here and there."
Slavkovsky?
Yeah. And so he mentioned that. And of course, what happened in LA. And he says, "You're starting to look a lot like Billy Smith." Okay. And Swayman looks at him. He's like, "Huh?" He had no idea who Billy Smith was. And I'm like, "Thanks, Sean."
And he shouldn't. Billy was amazing, and Billy's still alive, and he's still kicking, and he was an amazing competitor. And
so
all my Billy Smith stuff comes from Chico Rush, my old roommate in Ottawa, and from Brian Trottier, who I coach at the.
Oh yeah, I remember, man.
So they were all teammates with him. Like, I'm just telling you, Billy Smith is a different cat. Like, he's a tough guy. He was a hell of a goalie too.
Yep.
I don't think Swayman's anything like him.
No,
so I'm sorry.
He walked by too. He goes, "Who the hell is Billy Smith, Murph?" And I said, "Just go YouTube it. You'll enjoy it." It was good stuff.
Yeah, I don't find them to be similar at all. But anyways.
Yeah. All right, next question. JRB, do you think finding the right type of partner for Arbor Jack guy would improve his consistency? Perhaps someone more mobile and a better puck mover than Savard?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I'd say about Arbor, he's got to get under control in the neutral zone. I think he's really starting to get more comfortable in his own zone. Mm-hmm. It's in the neutral zone, making the right reads. He's a work in progress. He's the only player that's dressing for the Montreal Canadiens right now that was never drafted. So to be where he is and how hard he had to work to get there is pretty spectacular. I think there's still a very solid future for him, but he's just got to keep going to practice and keep learning and building and watching tape and making better decisions without the puck, really.
And he does seem to be eager to learn, Pierre.
Oh, he is. He's
really –
everybody I've talked to around the group says he is unbelievably eager. So that's not an issue.
That's a good sign. All right, next question. Sound the siren. With Ovi chasing the record, is it possible that when he breaks it, there could be an emotional deep breath right before the playoffs? I said this to a couple of people yesterday. We were talking about, obviously the Habs could pair up against them in the playoffs if it ended today. They got to make it first. But I wondered that too, Pierre. What do you think? I mean, do you think there could be a letdown there after he breaks it?
There could be. I don't know. I'm just trying to think.
Depends when he does it, right?
Yeah. If he does it tonight, I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah, they've got enough time.
If it keeps festering, and then the last game of the season, I know they play Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. So I wonder if it goes to that point, if it's just not too much drama.
Yeah.
So and that takes a lot of mental and physical energy out of the team. It would be better for him to get it done sooner rather than later. What a career, though. Like, I understand what the sound the siren's saying, but celebrate this guy's career is unbelievable. I'm just telling you, I'm so blessed. I said it to my wife the other day, to have watched Crosby and Ovechkin all these years, when they broke in together, when they battled against one another. like you pinch yourself and you're like, I can't believe I had a chance to witness all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And the mutual respect they formed over the years too, like
there's
rivals
respect there.
respect each other. You know what I mean?
There's respect. And then Sid can say, well, I went to the Stanley Cup final in 2008. I went in 2009, we won. I went in 2016, we won. I went in 2017, we won. World Junior, I won in 2005. I was part of the Olympics in 2010. I won in 2014. And OVU did what? Oh,
just one. It was great when he finally got it, though.
He won a World Junior gold in 2003, though. Don't forget that.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, Jimmy and Pierre, what player surprised you the most by his success? Mine is Hudson, and yes, I apologize to Pierre.
What player surprised you most by his success this year? That's
we're talking just with the Habs, I think, too.
Oh, for Montreal?
Or maybe not. I don't know, Randy. Let us know on that if it's just
I'm just going around the league. I'm trying to think because I don't want to shortchange anybody. Well, I'll say this. Bobby McMahon, who I know very well from Wainwright, Alberta, and also Colgate University, I knew Bobby was going to be a good player in the NHL because he's so big and strong and fast. I didn't think he'd had this much pure offense. Mm-hmm. So I'd say Bobby playing as a second-line left winger with Nylander and Tavares, that's been a pretty substantial surprise for me. Mm-hmm. I thought that Pacioretty might play in there. I thought maybe Domi would have a chance to play in there. So there were other guys in Toronto. But I think Bobby McMahon would be my guy because he's really made a massive difference in Toronto.
My guy, Pierre, and I'm going to straight out admit it was because I didn't watch him much before he got to the NHL, but also because of his size and just the way it's gone between the pipes in terms of bigger goalies, Dustin Wolf.
Well, that's good.
I thought he'd be good. I read up on him. I did my but I didn't see this coming. I mean, this is astonishing what he's done, and he deserves a lot of credit.
And I want to give one honorable mention now that we're bringing this up. Ryan Donato in Chicago.
Oh, wow. That's a great one.
Ryan Donato in Chicago. I mean, he's going to go over 30 goals. No way. Like, think about it. So this is another example. The Bruins should ask the question, why did we punt him? Because they punted him.
Oh, yeah.
He ends up in Minnesota. He gets 14 goals in Minnesota in 1 year. Then he goes to San Jose, and he's still getting goals. Mm-hmm. Then he goes to Seattle, and he's still getting goals. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to Chicago, and he says to his dad, like, I don't get why I'm getting punted all the time. And he goes down to Tampa, and he spends 3 weeks in Tampa with a skating coach. That was last summer in July, late June, early July.
Okay.
And it totally transformed his career. This guy, like Matt Cater, his agent, they're going to have a very early Christmas, these guys.
Yeah. Pierre, I want to say, too, that he's a good example for young kids out there, young players maybe, that aren't reaching – sorry, this stupid phone. The young kids out there that aren't reaching their potential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that and don't give up. Don't give up like that and continue to improve. Pierre, I've got my phone on Do Not Disturb, and this thing keeps ringing. I apologize.
I'm glad it's yours and not mine because I can't get mad at me now. I'm going to get mad at you. I'm just kidding.
It's the technology, right? All right, next question. Chris Blue Shirts. Hey, guys, it's going to be crazy 2 weeks in the East. I think the Rangers have the advantage. They have one back-to-back. Then the Canadiens and Jackets have two of them. Your thoughts? Have a nice weekend. You too, Chris. I don't know, Chris, maybe I'm saying it because I'm fresh out of Montreal and I was just there and, I told you I just could feel it. Maybe I'm riding that high from being there. I think it's theirs to lose right now, but those are good points.
I think those are fair points. And one thing I'd say is if Montreal beats Philly, because it's been an emotional week for them, you got to remember Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then they got to play Philly. Philly's having fun. They're just having fun out there. That's hard. And then they got to go to Nashville. I see Chris's point on the back-to-backs, but I think if Montreal wins on Saturday night, that's going to be a problem for a lot of teams that are chasing. It's going to be a big problem.
I'd agree on that. All right, next question. Randy Workman, who has the best one-timer, Mike Bossy or Ovi?
Ovi. Yeah. But here, I'll tell you another one. that never, ever would be in this conversation because he doesn't have the points, the goals. Go watch Malahoff.
Malahoff. All right.
Malahoff, when he played for the Islanders and when he played for the Canadiens. Go watch Vladdy Malahoff one time a puck and ask any of the goalies from that era who hurt the most when they got hit by the puck. It was Malahoff.
Was he able
to? His one-timer, but Ovi's one-timer is just scary.
Was Malahoff the same like Ovi, where he could just go to the same spot and no matter what he was going to get it?
He was a D-man. He played up high, and he would just Vladdy would grip it and rip it. It's funny. People always equate one-timer to Al McInnes.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy Workman would be a good person to know this. Al McInnes and Gary Suter, when the power play in Calgary was really smoking hot, like it was crazy. Neuendijk, Mullen, Suter, McInnes, like it was crazy. Lanny McDonald, like their power play was cuckoo, Jimmy. It was crazy. Suter always was a left shot. He always played on the left side, and McInnes was a right shot, and he played on the right side. So those guys never really had one-time chances. And their power play was so good, it was crazy. It was crazy. And you go in there and try to come up with a scheme to shut it down. It was just if you were really studying a lot of tape, you'd be like, oh, my God, they're going to light us up. They're going to kill us. That's how good it was. But so McInnes wasn't really that lethal one-timer, even though he could rip it.
Right.
But people forget they played Suter on one side and McInnes on the other, and they were both playing on their strong side.
Was that the 86 team that beat Montreal up here, or the 89?
They were both. They were there for
both.
So.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, next question. Mike, Pierre, if you were to find your way back into a GM chair, do you prefer taking over a team that needs a full rebuild or a team that needs small tweaks?
No, I like the rebuild thing.
I knew
that's what was so exciting about going to Ottawa. I was so excited about going to Ottawa and working with that coaching staff and with those scouts and all those people. And unfortunately, Mr. Melnick passed away. So when he passed away, things changed a lot. But I was really excited about the opportunity to go there. To basically that point, it was a rebuild. I had other opportunities to go do some other stuff with other teams, but I didn't think it was as, I had unfinished business in Ottawa. I wanted to go back and try to do something there.
Pierre too, I can tell you just from getting to know him over he loves to coach. He loves to develop kids. He loves to help kids progress in their careers. So I can see that, Pierre, that why you would say that.
Yep.
All right, next question. Enter tap. I realize that Montreal is winning right now, but is it a big mistake playing Armia and Savard when they are definitely injured?
But they got to get into the playoffs, Enter tap, and so they need both those guys. Armia's play last night with the empty net goal was really good. That's a big time play by him because usually he's on the right side of the ice, but he's on the left side of the ice on that play. It was really good. And Savard's penalty killing is important for them. It really is. So that's why I said I think on Sunday when they play in Nashville, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple guys get some rest, especially if they beat Philly on Saturday night.
All right, next question. Renaissance Resistor, how impressed are you with Sean Farrell's turnaround, and what does it say about his character?
I think he's close to 20 goals, and I think he's 17 or 18 goals in the American Hockey League. I was there at the beginning of the year, Renaissance Resistor. He was struggling. He had no confidence. I remember speaking with his father, who's a friend of mine from the Boston area, about where Sean was at the time, and it wasn't really a good spot. And to his credit, he dug in. He dug in and he pushed back, and it says a lot about his character. It says a lot about his talent, too. It's a great question. It's one of those overlooked things. I don't know if
not a lot of people are talking about him. Yeah,
and I don't know if it creates a spot for him in Montreal. I don't, just because you can only have, Lane Hudson and Cole Caulfield and even Nicky Suzuki's not a huge guy. Newhook's not a huge guy. You can only have so many small guys. So I don't know if it creates an opportunity for him in Montreal, but I do think it could create an opportunity for him in another city.
There you go. All right, next question. Randy Workman, Jimmy and Pierre, as a GM, how do you determine hiring your scouts? What qualities do they have to have?
I want guys that want to work. I want guys that aren't afraid to engage. Don't run with the herd. Push back. You like a player, fight for that player. Don't just be milquetoast. I want guys that have strong opinions, guys that aren't afraid to say stuff. Yep. I want guys that have huge character, that go on the road. They're not going to whine and complain about staying in a Motel 6. No disrespect to Motel 6. Stayed in a lot of them in my career. But, I don't want to hear a guy, this hotel no good. I stayed at some really bad hotels in a lot of different places in the world. but nothing stopped me from going to the rink.
Yeah.
And I love going to the rink. And I saw so many older guys that I learned so much from in the scouting business, and it's because they wanted to be at the rink.
Yep.
And they didn't care. And so that's what I'm looking for in guys that want to scout.
And guys that want to learn too. Like you talking about all the old guys you talk to, you said that many times, Pierre. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Build a network, right?
Dougie Robinson, the late Jack Bowman. There's so many of them. The late Charlie Hodge, Les Binkley, Greg Malone. I can go down the line, all the guys that have helped me over the years. And I've learned a ton. Just amazing evaluators of talent. So I have so much respect for those guys.
All right, next question. Enter tap. With some of the panic moves made by Boston this year and how things were handled, is there now irreparable damage done to the culture and trust amongst the team? Is Sweeney on borrowed time?
I can't speak to the Donnie stuff. I can't. I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't know for a fact, but I think he's good for my opinion. I think he's good at least into next season.
Yeah, I can't speak to where Donnie's situation is, and I wish him well because I've known Donnie a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was, hey, people don't realize he was a heck of a player. He played 1,000 games in the NHL as an undersized defenseman. He's a heck of a player. I do think they panicked.
Mm-hmm.
I think they panicked. And I think that caused problems for them.
I will say you can repair anything, but you got to do it right. I don't think it's like they're screwed. I mean, they can get out of this. They're just going to have to do it right, and they're going to have to be patient.
Yeah, I would say they're going to have to be real. I would seriously, and I'm not trying to say this to be rude to anybody on their staff, but I would change the record a little bit. I'd bring some different voices in and engage in some serious hockey talk behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I think you have to.
You have to. You got to, and that always helps teams when you go stale. You got to.
I just don't know if people will do that. The league, it's really different, Jimmy. It's a different time in the league right now. It really is.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Andy Wong, Pierre this is Andy from RVH Parking. Do you think the Colorado Avalanche can go all the way? Pierre, do you know RVH Parking?
I'm pretty sure I do.
Okay.
I do think the Colorado Avalanche can go all the way. I really do.
First round is going to be tough, but if they get out of that first round,
let me ask you a question: what happens if they end up playing Winnipeg in the first round?
It's still.
Because I think guess who's catching up to Winnipeg right now?
I know.
Dallas, Starsky, and Hutches.
Yep. And how about St. Louis is past Minnesota, Pierre?
That doesn't. Let's be fair to Minnie.
Yeah.
Minnie plays the
Islanders.
I'm not
knocking Minnesota. I'm just saying St. Louis just keeps going up.
Yeah. But let's be fair. I mean, they've won 11 games in a row. They got a healthy lineup, and they just added Snuggerud, and he got an assist in his second game. Let's be fair to Minnie, though. They're devastated by injury. They are devastated. They are lucky that their goaltending is held up as well as it has. They really are.
Speaking of injuries, though, they did suffer an injury last night, and there's no word yet on him. Holloway got hurt last night, Pierre.
Oh, I know.
We'll see what happens with that.
That's a big issue for them.
Yeah.
Again, they're lucky. Snuggerud comes in, and he's comfortable. I thought he was a little overwhelmed the first game, which is normal, but the second game I thought he was better. Yeah. So that's good for him and for them.
Per our producer Shane, he says as of now he's expected to miss 2 games. That's Holloway. So
that's not anything.
That's not
Thank
too
you,
bad.
Shane.
It's a lot better than what it seemed like last night because I saw Montgomery's press conference and he seemed very worried, but that's good. All right, next question. Juice _031 017. What does Scotty Bowman think of Lane Hutson and this Canadiens team?
Scotty Bowman's the first person to ever tell me about Lane Hutson. Lane Hutson was 12 years old, and Scotty Bowman saw him playing in a rink in Chicago. And he called me up, and he says, this guy's not very big, but I'm telling you, Pierre, there's a whole lot of Phil Halsey in this guy. And Scotty, obviously, with Rudy Miguel and a bunch of other scouts, they drafted Phil in Buffalo. And Scotty told me about this kid that long ago. So Scotty thinks the world of Lane Hutson, and he thinks his Canadian team is overachieving in a positive way. I'll put words in his mouth. He's probably watching right now. I'll expect this text. But I think he's very pleased with where they are right now.
I'm glad they brought up Scotty Bowman there because I was going to say, Pierre, like we did last year, I'd love to get him on to tee up the playoffs.
We are getting him on.
Yeah. I like doing that.
Yeah, no, he's coming on before the playoffs. Scotty will definitely be on before the playoffs.
Awesome. So, all right, we're going to take one more here because, as I said, I got to get out of here. I apologize, but let's take one more and we'll wrap it up. Ethan Russell, our UMass friend. How big of Washington's success has to do with Alexei Protas? What a season he's having while also being plus 40. What a steal of a deal Washington has. Could say the same about Connor McMichael. Great scouting by the Caps. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, Protas is a really good player. He's a big guy. He can make plays. He can score goals and obviously get to the net. He can dominate the boards. He doesn't get pushed around very often. For a tall guy like that, he's got really good balance. No, he's been really important. He's been really important. I think you look at Washington, they're a team. A lot of people said, oh, no, they can't. And Carberry found a way, the coach, to make them, yes, we can. And we're going to do it together. So I think Spencer deserves a lot of credit there, too.
All right, we're going to wrap it up now. And it's great to do a Friday show. Usually it's on campus, pre-recorded, but it was nice to do a live show. I think we'll do that more down the stretch run here and into the playoffs, Pierre, because there's just so much happening to recap for our listeners, viewers. Thanks to everyone for their questions here. Thanks to Shane working the boards. And again, thanks to our great Sick Podcast Network staff, Sammy and Yellow and Mark Afalo yesterday, and McLean's Public House as well. Pierre, it's great to see you in person. Look forward to our next remote, and there will be more. We're working on them. So
Jacob Fowler's now a member of the Montreal Canadiens. You got that from Jimmy Murphy.
Thank you very much. And congratulations to Fowler and his family for that. And by the way, another BC player too, Eamon Powell signed.
Yeah, I signed a tryout agreement, I think, with Charlotte.
Colorado Eagles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, no, Eamon. No, I don't think. I think Eamon's in Charlotte.
Oh, he's Charlotte. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Hank Camp. Hank Camp.
That's right. Thank you.
I've already been in touch with Hank.
Yep.
I've already been in touch with Hank, and I'm really excited and proud of him. He's a tremendous person.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
He's got huge upside, and I think Colorado will get the best out of him.
And he did so much for charity just as a college kid, too, right?
Great kid. Great kid.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, thanks to everyone out there. Enjoy the hockey this weekend. We will see you back here Monday on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.